What's good, fellas? In this video, I'm going to be explaining exactly how I dropped zero point 0.3 seconds off my 40, hit 22 miles per hour in game, earned multiple D1 offers, and unlocked an elite level of confidence all in just 6 months without training 7 days a week. Now, before I implemented this method, I had spent about 3 years training hard, but my 40 time barely improved. I played fast on Friday nights, right, but I tested slow at these camps. With all my training, I'd begin to feel bigger and stronger. I felt a little more explosive, and I felt fast on Friday nights, but I would end up coming into these camps and test slow every time. I'd clock a 4.9 or 5.0 literally every single time, and that instantly took me off of these college coaches' radars because I simply didn't have the speed to be a D1 prospect at the time. And when I was doing this training, I had zero structure or direction. I was really just grinding every day, hoping that it would pay off, right? I knew I had this D1 vision of myself, but I didn't quite understand yet, like, what I have to do, how to actually live like a D1 athlete, right? Because I knew I had that potential. I saw that vision, like I said, but my numbers told a completely different story when I would go to camps. But after implementing this method, I dropped 0.3 seconds off of my 40, as well as hitting 22 miles per hour in game. I earned real D1 offers because coaches, they couldn't ignore my speed any longer. They knew I was a good player, but finally my speed matched that and showed I was a real D1 level prospect. And now I finally know what it feels like to go from that overlooked kid coming from a small town of Green Bay, Wisconsin, to be the dominant athlete that everyone now notices. Right? And if that sounds like something that's interesting for you, I want to show you who this is for. You play fast on Friday nights, but your 40 time isn't where it needs to be, then this is for you. You have that real drive to go D1 and do the things you need to do, right? You understand the numbers matter, then this is for you. You're tired of working hard without seeing real speed improvements and you're starting to grow frustrated, this is definitely for you. You've been training nonstop, but lack structure and real results like I did, this is going to be for you. And you're done being overlooked at camps, combines, and showcases, this is definitely for you. Now, who is this not for? If you're comfortable running the same 40 time that's been slow this entire time, right, this is not going to be for you. If you want the title of D1 more than you want the work it takes to earn it, and you like the status or being able to call yourself a D1 football player, this is not going to be for you. If you think hype videos or TikTok videos will magically make you faster, this is not going to be for you. And now if you're chasing that quick fix or expecting overnight results, right, go somewhere else. If you only care about looking good and not getting verified numbers that are going to matter to these coaches, this is not for you. And if any of these statements I just said resonated with you, click off the video right now because you need to go somewhere else and find someone else to help you out. But here's the truth about dropping 0.3 seconds off your 40 and getting D1 offers that no one is going to tell you. You can absolutely achieve it without running yourself into the ground. You don't have to train 7 days a week like I did when I was first starting. You don't have to spend an hour and a half sprinting every day. You don't have to be doing random TikTok workouts from gurus that know what they're doing, right, to get you faster. You can follow the structured plan that's actually going to work with proven results. And you also don't have to have freak genetics. Your dad didn't have to be in the NFL or NBA, and you don't have to run track to be able to drop this time off your 40 and start getting real D1 offers. However, most high school athletes never get faster because they don't actually understand how to leverage small wins to build unstoppable momentum and then follow a proven system that's going to be based on your identity of that Division I version of yourself. Now, don't worry though, I'm not going to let that happen to you because really there's no such thing as I'm already working as hard as I can, but I'm still not seeing the results. Maybe I'm just not built to run a D140. There's no such thing as that statement, really. You have the speed. Everyone has the speed, but it comes down to the execution and right these small things, your mechanics that you haven't been thinking about, you don't know how to get right. Those matter, and that's going to take tenths of seconds off of your 40-yard time, and it's going to drop you from you're at a 4.9, you figure that out, you can drop down to a 4.7 or a 4.6 very quickly. But now, If you want that person to be you, who's running that fast 40 time and actually getting real D1 looks, I will show you how. Because I'll show you how to finally break through your speed plateau when been working hard, but not getting faster, sorry, and understand exactly what's been holding you back in your 40. I will show you how I dropped zero point 0.3 seconds off of my own 40, hit 22 miles per hour in game, and turned myself into a D1 prospect, right? Not with freakish genetics. Neither of my parents played college sports, but actually by following a system that works. And then how to build the explosiveness, acceleration, as well as the mechanics required to run a legit 40 without overtraining or feeling lost in the gym. And finally, I'm going to teach you all this without burning yourself into the ground and by learning how to build unstoppable momentum. Right? And in case you don't know me, here's a brief backstory. So, I ended up going to IMG Academy my junior year. And in the first game, it was a huge wake-up call. I missed 5 tackles in the first game. 5. Right? Just an insane amount. I had sacrificed so much to be there, and I immediately get out there and look like I don't know what I'm doing. And I had doubts start to creep in my head. It's like, I just committed to something this big. I sacrificed so much to get here. My parents, they're away from me. They didn't want me to do this, right? But they support me enough. And now what are they feeling? I care about them. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to be good enough to go D1. All those thoughts started creeping into my mind after that first game. And really, the training alone that I did before coming here didn't prepare me for this elite level competition. The difference between Wisconsin and Florida was night and day, and I was not ready for it one bit, right? Eventually, I did hit a breaking point, and I decided to commit to becoming a D1 athlete. I had that game where I missed 5 tackles. I kind of lulled my way through the rest of the season, but eventually I hit my breaking point right before the playoffs, and it was like, man, it's time. Like, it's either no one's going to come to save me because they don't care that I missed the 5 tackles. I'm on the verge of getting benched, and it's my decision to actually now become that D1 version of myself right through all of my daily actions. So I decided I took drastic measures really instantly. I spent 150 hours, yes, 150 hours, that's no exaggeration, studying how to train the right way. And now I've created the exact same system, right, and made it even better from what I originally learned to help you achieve the same exact results as the momentum method. The momentum method is my system that I built through my own trial and error, right? 150 hours, and then all the additional hours of figuring it out myself and the sheer willpower and putting in the hours, right? Now I've decided to break it all down for you 100% for free. In the following steps, I'm going to show you the exact A to C process I use to drop 0.3 seconds off of my 40, hit 22 miles per hour in game, that is, earn multiple D1 offers, and build an unshakable mindset all in 12 weeks without running yourself in the ground or following a program that doesn't actually make you faster. Now, what is this? So I'm going to explain the process right here for you of the momentum method. So I took relentless ownership, right? I missed those 5 tackles, and I realized that no one was going to come save me. No one's going to fix my own problems. And quite honestly, I was on the verge of getting benched, so I had to do something about it, right? And if I wanted to change, I had to own everything: my effort, my results, my mindset. It wasn't anyone else's decision to really make me into the version that I wanted to become. I would have to decide that it's on me, right? It's no one else's decision, and that's what I'm going to show you here. I developed unbreakable systems. When I left IMG Academy and went back home, I didn't have the same resources or environment, and yet I knew my teammates and even competition would, so I had to find a way to figure it out all on my own. And right, I was able to build systems that gave me an advantage even while being at home without the elite facilities or coaches and accountability that I had while I was at IMG. Then I leveraged small wins because I built momentum through non-negotiable daily habits that compounded into massive, massive progress that got me into this D1 position now. Right? That wasn't it. I met a man named Dr. P, who helped me start breaking down my ego and rebuilding my mindset after I lost my identity. When I hit rock bottom back home, I finally understood real growth starts when your identity aligns with your actions. Now, let me show you how I mastered each stage of the momentum method so that I can break free from inconsistency, comparison, and self doubt and create a D1 mindset that changed everything. First, I took relentless ownership. So, my sophomore year, I blamed others for my mistakes. The first game, right, I would miss a tackle and I'd be like, the safety didn't fit it right. I'd miss my gap. I'd get tackled for loss when I was at running back, and I'd say one of the linemen didn't block properly. Right? I didn't take any ownership for what I was doing. In my first game at IMG, I missed 5 tackles and reality hit me. Like I said, I was like, man, the competition is a lot better here. This picture up here is me basically getting ran over in one of the first games. And it's like, man, I need to be better, or simply I'm going to get benched and I'm not going to achieve that D1 journey, that D1 dream that I had. Because when I missed those 5 tackles in that game, it almost felt like my life was over because I was in it. And it was difficult, right? It was difficult understanding that nothing was going right, it felt like, because I had gone to IMG. I didn't initially like it at first. I missed 5 tackles after preparing for like 2 months there before our first game. And it's like, man, this is not what I wanted it to be. But then I decided to take 100% responsibility for everything, even if it wasn't my fault. So say something, even if it was 10% my fault and 90% other people's fault, I would still take blame and ownership for that 10% and the rest of it, to understand, right? It's an exercise and you need to be able to take 100% for everything going on. Your team lost, but you only played 20 or 30 snaps. You take responsibility for that. If you had gotten 3 pick sixes in those 30 snaps, right, you probably would have won. So I'm taking that full responsibility and putting even more burden on myself is what was allowing me to put pressure on myself to keep building forward. And because of that, I spent hundreds of hours in the offseason, 150 hours, like I said, and I came back stronger. And I set 2 school records my senior year: tackles for loss and total tackles for the all-time record at IMG Academy. That's what happened when I took that relentless ownership to actually become the person I wanted to. Then there's also developing unbreakable systems. So, leaving IMG, right, like I talked about, meant that I lost top-tier resources. I was going back home in the spring, and I knew I would have to find my advantage, especially after I had a subpar junior season that I didn't want, right? But even at the end of the season, I started to have some difficulties. The season just ended, and I was at school for about 3 more weeks at IMG, and I started to slip, right? There was no systems, no coaching, and no accountability. I just went to the school gym every few days. It's like, okay, I'm going to just kind of mess around with my friend, do bench press every once in a while, squat every once in a while. Like, we didn't have an exact plan, and I felt myself slipping. All I would do is just kind of show up, right, put in some work, by no real structure, no real plan. And I started to grow a little irritated, and I felt that because I knew that I had so much more potential and I wanted that for myself, but yet I wasn't showing it at all. So then, as the time I realized that, I'm like, okay, man, it's on you, right? That relentless ownership that I talked about and built, it started to come into play. It didn't happen right away because of practice that needs to be built. But once it's like, okay, it's my time. I can't keep like slacking around like this. I spent those 150 hours to build the structure to stay sharp anywhere, right? I knew I wouldn't have the coaches. I would have to figure it all myself. I'd have to coach myself, build my own training plan, and I did just that. Right, I took drastic aligned action, 150 hours drastic, to get what I wanted. And I followed it daily, and I really saw relentless, like unbelievable results because I took that full relentless ownership first and then added 150 hours to fix that problem, right? And now I'm in this position of becoming D1. And those are just 2 of the 4 steps that helped me get here, because I had also leveraged small wins. Right? So leveraging these small wins. At first, really like my sophomore year, I would chase big results early, right? I wanted all the awards, the PRs, the milestones. I was all conference as a linebacker and running back my sophomore year. Like, cool. It's a Division II school in Wisconsin. Like, it really did not mean much, but that's all I wanted. I wanted all the awards, the accolades. I wanted that status, right? And every time I achieved that, it just pushed my happiness back further. Because, like, okay, I got all conference. Next year, what am I going to do? Right? That's how it felt. Every time I chased some tangible thing, that new squat PR, that award, hitting 500 yards rushing, all of that, it just pushed back that happiness even further. So, right, the more I achieved, like I said, it made me feel empty because that happiness kept getting pushed back, and I didn't understand that I need to find happiness in the process and find my development in the process. So what I did was I built the non-negotiable threes, which is a workout, meal, and action, right? What that really looked like for me though is let's talk a little bit about the action. So before every game, going into right or in the off season, even I would do this visualization every single day to make sure I could feel myself succeeding for my senior year. So I would go in and just do a 5 minute visualization once a day, right? I would have a 6, 2, 7 breath to start. So it's 6 seconds in, 2 second pause, 7 seconds out. Write down, say my identity statement. My identity statement was I'm working harder than everyone else. I am an all-state linebacker, right? That was my identity. That's what I personally believe. And I believed it because of these small actions, right? Then what I'd do is I'd replay 3 plays in my head from my junior year that I was successful with. I actually visualized it and felt it in my body. I didn't just see myself running down the field, making a tackle on a kickoff. I didn't see myself fitting the gap. I felt myself actually punching the O lineman off of me, shedding the block, and fitting up the running back for a tackle for loss. That's how that visualization actually allowed me to succeed because I was able to feel it in my body. So then when my senior year came around, it was like I'd done it thousands of times at that point. So I'd do 3 visualizations of the like previous success that I have, and then 2 upcoming successful events that I want to happen. So I look forward to my first game of my senior year, all off season, and I visualize myself playing Tampa Catholic, the exact team we were playing on our home field, and making plays. So when it actually came to the game, right, it was just a matter of doing what I had done thousands of times already, and it made it so easy. So then once you finish that visualization portion, right, the actual highlight reel of yourself, then you go into your performance statement. The performance statement is basically saying cues you can say right before a game. So what I would say is slow to fast, then react. So that's like I'm starting to play slow, I'm getting a little faster, react. I'm shooting downhill to go make the play. Those words I would say before every play, and it allowed me to get in the right state of mind to actually make the tackle that I knew I could make. It allowed me to cover the running back like I knew I should because it allowed me to stay calm, be in that right state of mind to have the success that I wanted. And right, I worked out 6 days a week, right? I got that workout. And on that 7th day, I'd even do stretching, right? I'd make sure I did something to get me better. I'd have one super clean meal, making sure I was fueling my body properly. And what this allowed me to do that offseason is I earned a Division I offer to FBS Missouri State, right? Super, super proud of that. And really, it all came down to these simple daily wins start to build into an unstoppable momentum, right? All offseason, I kept building, and it built into me getting this offer. And right, I want to show you this picture up top here. That's me in my garage. I would start this every morning, right? I like to call it eating the frog, is doing the most difficult thing right away in the morning, eating the frog. It's not eating like an actual frog is like obviously not real, but it's like a difficult thing. So it's like, I'm going to do my most difficult thing to start my day. And I was waking up early before school. So I'd wake up about 6 or 6:15 and I would sit in this bucket of water in winter, right? The water was 38 degrees every single day. Absolutely freezing. And I'd spend 10 minutes just starting my day, doing that visualization in there sometimes to know that, right, I woke up before school, got up early by choice, did the most difficult thing in my entire day. And by the time it's 7:30, I already have compounded so many wins when people are still waking up just getting to school. as well. Identity-based inputs. This is when it starts to really take off. So my worth was tied to D1 football, right? And eventually I got that D1 offer to Missouri State and I had committed, but I was committed for 8 months and I lost that commitment. And as well, in that same week, I got broken up with, and that exposed exactly the flaws that I've been having this entire time, right? I didn't know who I was on my own because I was chasing external validation. And at this point, I really had no certainty about my future. I was expecting that I was going to be going to Missouri State in just a couple months at this point, about 4 months, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I start to step off the gas a little bit. In all reality, I'm like, I just want to enjoy my senior year of football, and I'm going to, like, just have fun, dominate, but I'm not going to press too hard on the gas. I'm going to just kind of float it out. All right, losing that commitment and relationship in the same, like, it was a 3-day span, exposed that. And I didn't know who I was, right? It was a difficult time, right? It was probably the worst 3 days it happened, but then multiple days after that of my life. And that's okay. But what I had to do was actually take that, all those things that I had previously built, and specifically that relentless ownership, right? Okay, for whatever reason, I lost the commitment. Things changed with the coaching staff, whatever. They didn't want me anymore. Okay, cool. I got to move past it. That's not my problem. The girlfriend didn't want me anymore. Okay, cool. I got to move past it because that's not my problem anymore. So I reprogrammed my mind. But I didn't only do this myself, though. I decided to have a meeting with our mental performance coach, Dr. P, and that basically allowed me to understand that what I've been chasing, like in my performance, was just as much psychological as it was physical, and my identity would reshape everything, okay? It would reshape everything, and this is when it started to take off, right? Because I had implemented everything that I had said before. The relentless ownership, developing the unbreakable systems, leveraging these small wins, yet my identity was stripped off of me, and I forgot who I really was because I'd been chasing that external validation this entire time. So now, he talked about what I call identity-based inputs. And what those are, it basically allows you to, the identity-based inputs are basically showing, like, okay, I want to be this D1 version of Jacob Hansen, right? And that D1 version of Jacob Hansen, what would he be doing right now? Okay, so that D1 version of Jacob Hansen he'd be spending 15 minutes after practice every single day to get right. He'd be spending a couple extra minutes in the weight room to do some stretching mobility after. He'd be watching the extra film to prep to make sure he can make the plays on Friday night. Those are the type of things you have to start to align with. Now, if I were to say I'm the NFL player, Jacob Hansen, right, the actions become even more clear because the stakes are raised. If you want to become, right, if I want to become the NFL version of myself, these stakes are a lot higher because it's about 1% of people go D1, then 1% of that 1% are going to go to the NFL. So now it's even more fine-tuned. My decision had to be in such alignment because such a tiny, tiny percentage of people actually go to the NFL that there's no room for error. So it becomes even more obvious and clear that you have to take a lined, drastic action to actually reach those results. And for me, that was like, okay, if I want to be that NFL version of myself, I have to spend more than just 30 minutes watching a film. I have to spend more than just 15 minutes on the field doing drill work, right? It becomes so clear when you raise the stakes that really free will doesn't become an option. That may sound bad, right? That's exactly what you want. You want the decisions that work in your favor to be so easy that it doesn't feel like free will. It feels like you have to, but right, you really get to because you are chasing your dream and there's only one option to get there. The only way is to actually do it, right? There's the good decision and the bad decision. It has to be the good decision every time. And these identity-based inputs allowed me to start realizing that, and it allowed me to actually start acting like that version of myself that I am now. And I built confidence and purpose because of that. The big thing that actually helped me with doing that, and that got my mind state shifted in the right direction right away, was listening as I woke up and as I fell asleep, subliminations, right? I'm sure you don't know what that is, but I'm having 432 hertz, like music playing in the background, and it's me speaking affirmations into like reality. So it's like, I am Jacob Hansen is a Division One football player. Jacob Hansen is making 100 tackles his senior year. Jacob Hansen is earning multiple Division One offers. And notice when I was doing those were in the present tense. It's not like Jacob Hansen was a D1 football player, or it's not Jacob Hansen will eventually be a D1 football player. Jacob Hansen is in the process of becoming a D1 football player right now. That's what we want those subliminations to be. And they have to be something that your mind realizes. It can't be something like, okay, Jacob Hansen is going to be an NFL player in 6 months. Not going to believe that. It has to be something that your brain believes, but that's also what is your confidence. Do you believe you can actually get 100 tackles for your next season? Or do you have that limiting belief like, I may only get 30 or 40? It's up to you, right, to understand those limiting beliefs. But listening to sublimination, if you hear every single morning when you wake up and fall asleep for an entire offseason that you have 100 tackles, I guarantee you that it's going to be able to happen when you actually align your actions with it. And now listening to that, it's like, okay, you can just listen to that and nothing can change, right? What listening to that does allows you to take these aligned actions, right? Those identity-based inputs to actually become that D1 version of yourself, right? When I started listening to these subliminations, it became so much more clear in my mind exactly what I had to do. If I wanted to earn that D1 offer and still go D1, even after people had told me, man, you're not FBS good. Like, I think you're going to go D2. Someone had told me that. I'm like, okay, right? And I'd still been working the same. I've been working even harder, and it still got me into that D1 position because that alignment, that those actions I took on that day-to-day basis actually got me to where I wanted to be, right? And even when I'd show up for weeks with no progress, right, that was okay because I understood I was acting like the person I wanted to become. I started to find real fulfillment in the process for the first time, and my identity no longer depended on the external validation that came along from like with it. I didn't need to have those D1 offers to feel fulfilled, right? And that's the power of these identity based inputs. When you become the version of yourself mentally, the physical results will always follow. They will always follow. And that's the power of this positive feedback loop. Once you start getting into this, right? When you figure this out, I could be doing these subliminations for only 2 or 3 months or 6 months, right? The power of them is that it's going to keep growing after that because, right, they're building on each other for those 3 to 6 months. I'm listening to them, but then my actions, it becomes so easy to flow with it. And now I'm doing these same actions I was doing literally a year ago at this point, and it's easy. It's second nature because those subliminations, those identity-based inputs got me here. It builds on that. It's not just a 3 or 6 months thing. It's going to change the rest of your life when you can actually figure this out and implement it, right? So that's what's happened when I started to put it all together, right? It compounded the ownership, the system, the small wins, the identity. It all compounded. And I was able to, right? I didn't have to force that motivation anymore. I built so much momentum, like I was saying, it became locked in and basically automatic, right? And that's how I became that D1 version of myself. If I had never missed those 5 tackles my junior year of football, I would never be here. I would never be D1 because I wouldn't have understood what it took to actually get here, all the effort and sacrifice I'd put in. Right? I want to teach that to you, right? I gave you all of the sauce just now, the exact mindset and process that took me. And you can take that right now, and I guarantee you that your results are going to skyrocket by simply implementing those, and you are going to be on the path to becoming that D1 version of yourself. But really, that's not all because now that you understand exactly how this process works, I have an offer for you. So if you're a high school athlete who plays fast in games but tests slow, you're a player who feels overlooked at camps because of slow 40 times, and you're a player who's tired of working hard without seeing real improvement, then this offer is going to be for you. And if you're ready to drop 0.2 to 0.3 seconds off of your 40 dash, something that's absolutely life-changing in terms of your recruiting timeline, and dominate every single combine test, not only your 40-yard dash, but your L drill, your shuttle, your vertical, and your broad, and have the best combine performance of your life to get on the radar of these D1 coaches, so you start finally performing like the athlete that you know you are. I have an offer for you. I'm going to work with you one-on-one to drop 0.2 seconds off your 40 and explode all of your combine measurables using this momentum method, all without running yourself into the ground. And I want to work with you with this. I want you to click the Calendly link in the description and book a one-on-one call with me. We're going to go over exactly making an exact game plan so you can have insane results like this, drop over 0.2 seconds off your 40, build that unshakable confidence, and actually create that D1 level identity, all without running yourself into the ground, okay? That's exactly what I want for you, and that's what we're going to talk about on this call. It's just 30 minutes of your time that we can get to work and instantly get started on getting you closer to your dreams, right? And if you still aren't convinced, it's not just me doing this. It is not just me. I've done this with multiple athletes. So my guy on the far left here, Drew, he dropped 0.22 seconds off his 40, and he now runs a 4.55 laser time, all while gaining 8 pounds of body weight, 50 pounds on his bench, and 105 pounds on his back squat. Not only this, right, guys, my guys are getting stronger, more athletic, more built up to become those physically dominant football players, as well as faster, more athletic, the best football player really they can be. My guy in the middle, Danny, he dropped down to a 4.76, where he dropped his 40 time while literally gaining 23 pounds of body weight, 120 pounds on his back squat, as well as 50 on his bench in 14 weeks, right? And now he's a D1 football player at UIW, the school that Cam Ward went to. Now, Kali on the top right, he gained 19 pounds of body weight, and he finally feels fast and smooth for the first time. He hadn't done a single training session, right? He was able to do only 6 weeks of training without ever getting hurt because he was just so injury prone. But we were able to get him to gain this weight, go through 15 weeks of training without ever getting hurt, all while getting him faster, smoother, more athletic, and ready to go dominate at the JUCO level. So he's going to end up a Power 4 Division I athlete in the very near future. And my guy in the bottom right, Lachlan, he maintained his body weight and improved all of his measurables and his performance on the field, because in 4 weeks, we got him looking like this in season and got him to actually move faster, feel quicker on the field. So his 40-yard dash, although we didn't test it because it was in season, I already know it is getting a lot better. So now, what I want to do is, I want you to go down to that description, book my Calendly link, and we can get to that strategic game plan call where we're going to talk exactly how you can really take your development to that next level. Okay, that's exactly what I want for you. And I'm super excited to see every single one of you on a call, right? If you made it this far, you are further than 99.9% of athletes. If you even clicked on this video, you're further than 99%. Now you're further than 99% of athletes. And if you want to be ahead of literally everyone, because I have the solution you need to drop that 40 time and have the best combine of your life so you can become that real D1 prospect, all you have to do is book down in the description that Calendly call 100% for free, and we're going to give you an exact game plan for you. And even if you don't feel it's right for you, that's completely okay, because I will still give you the proper guidance to get you moving in the right direction. And simply, all you have to do is spend 30 minutes of your time on a phone call with me. That is it. It is a no-brainer for you to actually take your athletic development to the next level. So like I said, I'm very excited to see every single one of you on the call and take you to become that real D1 prospect that you deserve and drop your 40 time more than you ever knew you could. I will be seeing all of you very soon.